Sorry guys, I had a sore throat for the last couple of days, but today I'll let you know what I did to Snowflake and then discuss if it is the right time to buy bank stock. Hopefully giving you some hints on the future moves. First, I bought 20 shares of Snowflake, ticker symbol SNOW, on that crazy Wednesday. I told you I'm going to buy a small amount of this high-tech unicorn in September 14th video, where I gave a detailed introduction of the company. In that video, I gave the original IPO price, which is $75 to $85, and I said it's not cheap. Then, in the last minute, they changed the IPO price to $110 to $120 since it's so popular. Then, on a public trading day, there were a bunch of guys in the field doing auctions, so the price kept going higher and higher before we could even trade it. Eventually, the market price started at about $240. This is ridiculously high, but in the next 5 minutes, it kept on shooting up to almost $320. Then it started falling down. I set a price at $240 and it got executed. It's definitely overpriced. In fact, even for $200, it is overpriced. This has priced in all the growth in the next few years. However, since I said in the video I'm going to buy it, I stick to my words and I'm going to lock it in there for years, maybe even for a legacy. If the price fell down below $130, I may add some more. Now the snow story is temporarily over for me. Hope for the summer. Now let's get into the second topic for today. Is bank stock a buy right now? Bank industry study is fairly straightforward. Their performance sheet is almost transparent. It's never been out of institution sites. In-depth study is going to be one after another if there's any news coming up. Also, bank industry is under strong regulation and is usually affected a lot by the interest rate. It's very hard to have explosive news that can lead to unanticipated returns. I'll use a Canadian bank stock as an example, since some of my audience wants to hear something more about Canadian stocks. So in the future, I'll include some that are also on the US side. TD is the first one, ticker symbol TD. TD is the commercial banking operation of the Toronto Dominion Bank in Canada. Toronto and Dominion Bank merged in 1955 and made today's TD. TD is top bank in North America, one of the world's most important banks. Its balance sheet has been really good. It has a PE ratio of 10.44 and a PB ratio of 1.32. It has a 4.9% annual dividend rate. The stock went down about 10% in 2020. If you're a long-term investor or you like dividend, feel free to jump in anytime. Otherwise, you can invest, but it's not the best time yet. So the best time to buy this stock or any bank stock is 1. After a write down, or 2. When the interest rate starts increasing. Right now, almost every bank is forced to write down or reduce the debt due to COVID. This is because lots of businesses keeps on borrowing money from banks in order to survive. How much of those debts do you think banks are capable of getting back? Thus, the bank will write them off in the books as non-performing loans so as to make the books look better and encourage investors. But money doesn't fall from sky. If one day it actually fell, it's probably be accompanied with a printing machine. So stay away from it. Banks have to use their own profit to cover those non-performing loans. Once the write-down is over, this money can be used for dividend or buy back their own stocks. That's when the bank stock is going to be booming. When is this going to happen? Historically, the debt loan reached its peak 6 months after the unemployment rate. we can see the Canadian unemployment rate reached its peak in May at 13.7%, then kept on coming down until August 10.2%. According to the history, we would expect December to be a good time to invest in this stock. But remember, there are still risks like COVID coming back after December. Remember, initially it started spreading fast in Chinese New Year when every family member traveled around and got together. Then, the interest rate is almost zero since the end of quarter number 1. Most commercial banks leave on difference between saving interest and loan interest. Of course, they have other service fees including investing fees, making up some of the deficits. But that part of the revenue is usually less than 30%. It's been like this for hundreds of years. So their performance is still affected severely. We're going to see the consequences more and more from now on. The most horrifying fact is the banks can't control their own interest rate. It's determined by the Federal Reserve, and it looks like Federal Reserve is not that independent anymore. They might be affected by White House more and more. If the Federal Reserve did announce negative interest rate, that's a deadly impact on all the finance stocks, including those Canadian ones. Lowering interest rate is good for the public, but bad for the banks and their shareholders. Not many people are going to be interested in the bank stock, even when they're undervalued. Of course, the banks are not Samaritans. There are definitely some stories behind the scenes. For example, restrictions were loosened in the Volcker Rule on bank capital requirements, and investment banks can make in private equity and similar funds. In the end, let's look at the summary table and the target price. All the prices are in US dollars. If you are afraid to miss it, hop on now. Otherwise, a more reasonable price is between $40 to $44. If you can get it between 35 to 37, it's really cheap. I don't think you have a chance to steal it below 33 in a long period of time. Whoever bought TD or any other major bank stocks like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Royal Canada, etc., please lower your expectations. Don't anticipate anything more than the dividend. Time is your friend. Keep on holding it for years and you may find you have unexpected returns. 5-6% annually plus the dividend. The advantage is your money is safe. There's almost no chance for banks to bankrupt today with government's backup. That's the end for today. If you like our video, please click on the ravishing like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Thank you and have a good weekend.